inclined to offer a preschool program. I believe that at one point several years ago, we had a preschool program that was canceled. I would have no problem with bringing something like that back. I believe that most of us, when we had children around that age, we send them, whether it's at a public school district or a private facility. So I think it's something the vast majority of people do with their kids. They send them to a preschool program. And I've heard comments over the past year and a half from, I think, all board members saying that they believe that the preschool programs are something that help the kids get an early start on their reading and actions so that they can be more successful throughout.
Thank you. I guess as a follow-up to that, specific to Clinton County, there are no pre-K programs that are not that do not cost families. And so a pre-K program would obviously be an expense to the school district, but it would afford families who maybe do not have the resources to pay for their children to be in a daycare center that offers a pre-K. And so just to expand on that, would the school district be able to cover the expense of reintroducing a pre-K program?
Costs and expenses are always a difficult discussion on the school board. When it comes to something like this, I believe it's the sort of thing that's given priority because it's importance. We in general, our school district is very financially healthy. We have $27 or $28 million from one month to the next in cash flow and savings that's sitting out there. We don't have any current troubles financially with our budget, and I wouldn't imagine that there would be any pushback for something like a preschool program because of the importance of it. But yeah, cost is obviously always something that has to be taken into consideration.
Thank you. To supplement a portion of district expenses, some school districts aggressively seek out grant funding, and others may or may not do this regularly. Researching and applying for grants can be very time-consuming and expensive. Would you support expanding the district's number of applied grant applications, knowing the district would need to either hire a third party or add another district position, or would you possibly create a stronger relationship with the Keystone Central Foundation in order to apply and seek out more grants?
Okay. Yeah, we've talked about doing all of those things. A year and a half ago when I interviewed to become a school board member, one of the things I mentioned at that time was an interest in trying to find grants to bring grant money into the school district. So yes, it is the sort of thing that I do support. One of the most recent ideas that was being bounced around was we could hire an outside contractor to help us with that type of activity, and that contractor could be paid maybe a minimum fee and then some sort of bonus fee on top of that if we get a grant that is awarded to us, and that would keep the cost of the school district as minimal as possible.
Thank you. This is a question that has been written on a card and presented to me from one of the folks in the room this evening. What are your thoughts on book banning?
So far in our school district, that topic hasn't come up. We've been very lucky that it hasn't come up. We, over the past year, have done several what are called weedings of our libraries. We've replaced books that are worn out or out of date. On those occasions that we have done that, we have not had any members of the public coming to us and asking about the books that are on those lists. And we did have one board member ask about one of the books on the list, and the response from the administrator who does the weeding, library weeding, was that exactly like I said, the books are replaced with new versions of the books, or sometimes they're just out of date, no longer available, and worn out, and they're but as far as book banning goes, this is not something that we've had here at this school district. And when I looked into it a few weeks ago, there are some lists out there on the internet which list the Pennsylvania school districts who have banned books. And obviously, we're not on that list. I think there might have been maybe 8 or so in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania who have books that are banned. So even in Pennsylvania as a whole, it's not really something that's yet been, that's the big issue for us. It might come up in the future, but right now,
Sure.
yeah, we've been lucky that it has not been an issue.
Thank you. Regarding safety and security issues, the district has done a very good job building local law enforcement and emergency agency partnerships. What is your position on expanding these partnerships? What other agency partnerships should the district consider, and why?
I think, and as far as I can recall, we are involved with all of the local law enforcement agencies. I don't know that there's any expansion that could necessarily occur. We, several months ago, we were in the process of setting up an agreement with the local district attorney's office, such that when students get into trouble outside of the school district and school district grounds, if it's something that might potentially negatively impact the school district or its students, the district attorney would communicate that, and law enforcement would communicate that to us. But that was several months ago that we had worked on that. I'm not sure what else new we could do. I mean, if there is something though, and somebody wants to come forward and suggest it, we definitely would take that into consideration. I mean, that's we're always open to new ideas.
Thank you. How important is art and music as you look at the school's curriculum?
Well, to me personally, it's important. When we first were in the process of moving here, my daughter actually volunteered to help with the band program at the high school, and did that for 2 or 3 years. Both of my children were in the band at their Norwood School District. My mom was a piano teacher, and prior to that was a school teacher. I of course learned to play the piano, learned music. Yeah, it's something that it is important to me personally. Arts and music, I believe, is a fundamental part of education. It helps with problem solving. It helps with students' creativity, and I personally appreciate, and I haven't heard any comments about reducing those programs or anything like that, but I would not be those programs if the topic comes.
Thank you. During most school board meetings, committee meetings included, public attendance and participation is very low. Why is this, in your opinion, and what will you do to encourage public attendance and participation moving forward?
Yeah, it is true. Public participation is low. It is disappointingly low. I've told this story before, but a year and a half ago when I applied to become school board member for the empty slot, I was the only person who showed up out of Region 6 to apply for the open slot. I was still surprised that they chose me, because I thought maybe they wouldn't like me, but they did choose me. But to me, it's shocking that there isn't public participation. We have done things like, well, not the school board, but members of the community have done things like this town hall meeting to try and encourage participation. I know the school board members, when we have an important vote coming up, contact members of local community organizations and ask them to attend our meetings and speak, and yet they do not attend and do not speak, even though some school board members beg them to do so. It's difficult. One of my objectives, if I am reelected, is at some point over the next 4 years to help with that. And I would like very much, if at the end of my 4-year term here in Region 6, we have something like a half a dozen local residents who are interested in running for school board. That's what I would like to see, something like that. It would be nice to see younger individuals. Region 6 is very diverse. I think it's the most diverse region in our school district. When I walk around, at least half of the individuals are women, but yet here in Region 6, right now in this election go around, the choice that Region 6 has is between me, the fat old man, and my opponent, the even older, thin old man. So, in 4 years, I would like that to change. I would like maybe half a dozen individuals and not 2 old men to choose from.
Thank you. We've received another question on a card here in the room. What is your fiscal philosophy? Do you support raising taxes in all cases where funds are needed?
Could you repeat that, please?
Sure. What is your fiscal philosophy? And then the follow-up to that is, do you support raising taxes in all cases where funds are needed?
Yeah, I believe very strongly in balancing the school budget. As a school district, we have an annual budget of between $80 and $90 million a year. I believe it's possible for us to balance that budget. In regard to taxes, I have stated in the past that I am against raising taxes. Right now at this time, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is looking at changing the way that rural school districts like ours are funded, and that will result in us getting more monies in a year or so, not too far down the future. I would like to see us rely on those sorts of things rather than raising local taxes. And that applies not only to the average homeowner, from my point of view, but it applies to business owners and across the board. It's something that the individuals at the Region 6 can count on me to do what we need to do, or push to do what we need to do to balance the budget and to not raise the taxes. And like I said a few minutes ago, our school district is very financially healthy. There's no, at the moment, no emergency, no reason to raise taxes or anything like that. And I believe it's important for us to take a step back and look and realize that there's a huge pot of money there, and we can keep the budget balanced as necessary.
Thank you. Would you support a yearly survey for families, students, graduates, community residents, and staff about what they see as major strengths and shortcomings of the district and its schools? A follow-up to that would be, are you committed to publicly sharing the results? If your answer would be yes to the first part of the question.
The survey was,
So I'll repeat it. Would you support a yearly survey for families, students, graduates, community residents, faculty, and staff about what they see as major strengths and or shortcomings of the district and its schools?
yeah, sure. I mean, that would be fine, a survey or them contacting the school board members. I mean, I personally publish my personal email address. Anybody can send me a personal email. My school district email address is out there. My home telephone number is a public number, and people can call me. So I would encourage everybody who has any sort of information like that that they the school district, either provide it on a survey or simply contact me or contact your school board representative and tell us what you're thinking. As the board president, I hear from residents from the entire area. Sometimes I spend 2 or 3 hours talking on the telephone to a particular resident. I'm happy to do that. Sometimes they show up at my door unannounced. And we have 3 pets in the house and 2 people working from home, so that's difficult for me because it's my job to keep the pets quiet while the 2 people are working from home. But, it's okay. There's a 50-50 chance that I can get to the door before they walk away. But yeah, a survey is fine, or members of the public simply talking to us is fine as well.
Yeah, so if let's just say the survey would come to fruition and it was open to all those different pockets of people, would you commit to publicly sharing what those results were then with the public at large?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, back in March, when we had our first public meeting on the topic of school safety, that was all open, all transparent. All of the ideas that came from the public were discussed in public, in front of the newspapers, in front of the cameras. That's absolutely the sort of thing that I believe in. There's no reason to hide, criticism, or positive things or negative things. There's no reason to hide any of that.
Thank you. Another question from the room. How can KCSD expand on the safety of LGBTQ students?
Okay, well, that falls into the category, I believe, of bullying, which is something that we have tried to address over the past several months. It's my understanding that due to the improved safety measures that we put in place over the past several months, our incidents of violence, drugs, alcohol, vaping, and bullying have decreased by something like, I think it's 2/3, I think is the number that was given to the school board. So yeah, that it's something that we are working on. It's something that's important to me. And back earlier this year, when we had students attend our board meeting and beg us as a school board to help them because they felt unsafe in our schools, I took it seriously, and I did what I could to try to push through some changes. I personally, and I believe every school board member, has a moral and ethical obligation to take seriously children who come to us and ask us for help. And that's what I did. And it's something we're working on. It's something that has improved over the past several months. And I agree that there can always be improvement there, but it's something that we have definitely, I think, taken some steps to make a difference.
Regarding curriculum, what tools, such as mentors, publications, or websites, or other, will you use to become a better, more effective school board team member?
Let's see. Well, we have the school district emails. My phone, people can call me on the phone. In regard to a website, that's something that the school district handles.
I think it's talking more about like tools you'll use to stay informed and continue to be educated about school board and school district issues.
Yeah, all right. Well, I do training. Every school board member is required to do training when we first become school board member, and then do on an annual basis additional training, and I do that. I read articles that are sent to me, but I also talk to other school board members from across the state. I have friends and family who are school board members or who know school board members, and it's no big deal for me to talk to them and ask them what they think. Belongs to a place called PSBA, which is sometimes an okay resource. It's my opinion of them varies based on what type of information we're trying to get from them. Um, uh, but yeah, articles I'm always reading. One place in particular I go is there's a subreddit on the Reddit website about teachers and problems teachers face, and I like to go there and read that. It's like a constant online blog type of thing. I find that to be a pretty good resource. And in general, I even watch other school districts with YouTube recorded board meetings just to get examples of what districts are doing at their boards and in their board meeting rooms. And yeah, I try as much as possible to learn new things and keep up to date.
Thank you. Another card has come in from the room, and the question is, what do you think will be the biggest challenge in the next 4 years for the school board?
We will have a new superintendent, and we have a recently hired assistant superintendent, and that will cause a culture change that all of us will need to deal with. So we will have that. As far as challenges go, though, getting our local input to state elected representatives in regard to the new funding streams is going to be a challenge. We need to have our voice heard so that we get the funding stream worked out such that we get as much money from the new stream as possible. That is a big item that will be coming up over the next year. In regard to, yeah, I'm trying to think here. I think as a school board, we could improve ourselves a little bit as well. I think that's a challenge that needs to be addressed. Over the past year and a half and over the past year that I've been the president, I've seen a lot of dissension, conflict, and I've seen a lot of individuals trying to undermine other individuals, and that sort of thing takes the attention away from some of the more important activities that we should be working on. I believe that as a school board, if I am reelected, that's one of the things that I would like to work on. And frankly, we need new school board members out there. That's what we need. We need more people running. We need a higher level of interest, and we need some fresh people and fresh ideas, and less fighting.
Thank you. Keystone Central School District CTC is a fast-growing option for students at both Bucktail and Central Mountain High School. Regarding current CTC curriculum offerings, what should the district's focus be on, or what should they add and why?
I think that Kurt has recently added a few programs. Off the top of my head, I think there was a business program. I'm not sure I remember off the top of my head.
There's a Homeland Security and a teaching track.
Homeland Security, okay, the teaching track, okay. And I think you mentioned something about business as well that you get accredited for. Yeah, we have a good CTC program. Any expansions to the program are good. Our newly appointed assistant superintendent has a background in that area, so that will be helpful to us as a school district as we go forward. We don't yet know who the new superintendent will be, but maybe we'll get lucky and find a superintendent who also has a little bit of background in that area as well. Yeah, I think that with Kurt and with the newly appointed assistant superintendent who, like I said, doesn't necessarily work in that area, but still has that background and knowledge, I think that's, we're doing the right thing there. And whatever expansions Kurt can come up with, I mean, you know, we need, if he has the people and he can support local needs, local businesses and the needs across the state, you know, we can do whatever needs to be done to expand the programs.
Thank you. Another question from the room. What are your thoughts on the parental rights in concern to public education bills that have been brought forward by our state representative?
We here, this school district, when we update our policies, make sure that our policies are written such that the parents have an opportunity to participate and review curriculum materials. In fact, just last month, one of our new policies was specifically written to give parents an opportunity to comment on the curriculum, you know, books that are used in our classrooms. We are transparent and open in that regard. We do a good job there, and any parents who are interested are able to look and see what we're doing, and you know, we welcome their input. I don't know that we're the problem, and there are school districts out there who are the problem, who are causing a bill like that to be sponsored, but I would say that we're not the problem.
Thank you. We've got about 12 minutes left before our 7:30 end time. And so I'm going to ask one more question and then give you an opportunity if you'd like to make any closing statements.
Okay.
The last question. Public school systems are not required to offer athletics to students. Should the district maintain, decrease, or increase athletic offerings, and why?
Yeah, one of the things that I mentioned when I interviewed to become a board member was exactly that many school districts are canceling their football programs and other athletic programs because they're expensive, and sometimes they cause students to become injured, and parents don't like that. Here in this community, that's not what the residents feel. The residents of this community, the sports programs are important, and we have to maintain it. I mean, it's always an option to cancel them. It is something that saves a lot of money and maybe saves a little bit of risk in some cases to some of the students. But here in this region, it's important, and we have to keep it going. I mean, unless that changes, I don't see that we as a school board have a choice, really. I mean, we have to do, it's our job to serve the community. We need to do exactly that.
Thank you. At this time, we've asked all the questions in the room and a handful of the questions that came in via email before tonight's town hall. And so I'd like to give you a few moments if you'd like to offer any closing statements or comments for those in the room or those that will be viewing this on.
I'm not sure exactly what to say. I chosen to live here in my retirement. I did not grow up here as a child. I visited here weekends and summers, and I have a family attachment to the community. I like it here. It's not always easy to live here because we don't have access to some of the services that folks have access to in suburban and urban areas. I view my school board activity as a community service type of activity. I'll remind everybody it is an unpaid volunteer type of position. all of us who put time into it are putting our personal time in. I have more time than others being retired. But even though earlier I mentioned the fighting that occurs in the school board, each and every member of the school board is there on an unpaid volunteer basis, and each and every member of the school board is spending many hours, their personal time with supporting the board and supporting the school district. And that does say something for all of them, all of us. I hope that the residents of Region 6 have gotten to know me enough over the past year and a half. I am the current president and the current representative. My name and face is often in the local newspapers. I hope that they have learned that they can trust me and trust me to do the job of a school board representative. Like I said, I would be looking to serve one full term. And at the conclusion of that, hope to see maybe half a dozen candidates from our Region 6 interested in the next term after that. I think that's about all I have to say. With that, thank you, everybody. I appreciate the support and appreciate everybody watching the video and being here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. That does conclude the first of 3 town halls. Again, wanted to say thank you to all of those that are in the room this evening and everyone who clicks on the YouTube link and has an opportunity to watch this after it happened live this evening. Want to again thank our sponsor, Rich Fitzgerald, for making this possible for the candidates and the community. And tonight, thanking our host, Commonwealth University Lock Haven, for the use of this. Again, Election Day is November 7th. Polls are open 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. So please make sure you get out and vote. As Mr. Dietrich said, he's available by email and phone. And if everyone could please exit the building by 7:45 because we have a hard go time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.